Okay, this is Math 200 review, chapters 5 and 6, page 4. This is page 4 of the review. So we're on number 22. We're supposed to simplify this compound fraction. And so to do this, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to find the common denominator between x and 3x and 8x and x. So the LCD, the lowest common denominator of those four things, is 24x. That is the smallest number that all of them go into. What we're then going to do is multiply the numerator and the denominator by that LCD, by 24x. So we're going to multiply 24x here, here, here. What we did now is, the question always comes up, well, why didn't you do it to the bottom also? Well, look, this is a fraction. We multiplied the top by 24x, and we multiplied the bottom by 24x, and we distributed it to both of the terms in that fraction. Now, the end result of this means that the x's will cancel here, and I'll have 5 times 24, which is 120. The x's will cancel, and 3 will go into 24 8 times. So we'll just have 7 times 8 there, which is 56. And then on the bottom, the x's will cancel. 8 will go into 24 3 times. We'll have 27. The x's will cancel. 24 times 1 will be 24. Then we just subtract the top and subtract the bottom and see if we can reduce. So on the top we end up with 64. On the bottom we end up with 3. And we cannot reduce. So we're just going to leave it in proper 64/3. That is number 22 on page 4. Let's look at 23. Yeah, my teacher's assistant here. All right, 23 is an equation. So we're jumping to equations. We are to solve this equation for x. So before we start with the LCD, let's do something to this. Let's factor out the 3x there. It'll be easier to look at when we're trying to find the LCD then. So if we factor out a 3x, remember that is the reverse of the distributive property, so I write it down up front and I divide by the greatest common factor here, which is 3x plus 1. All right, so instead of looking at it as 3x squared plus 3x, let's look at it as 3x times quantity x plus 1. Well, now the LCD, we have 3x times x plus 1, we have 3x, and we have x plus 1. So the LCD here is 3x times x plus 1. So with that LCD, because it's an equation, we can multiply every term by the same thing. And in this case, we're going to multiply everything by 3x times x plus 1, 3x times x plus 1, 3x times x plus 1. So now the x plus 1's cancel there. And we end up with 3x times 3, which is 9x. The 3x is canceled there. We have 3 times x plus 1. We have to be careful there. Oh, wait. Well, first you have to be careful to write down the correct problem. That's a 5. Not a 3. So that was a 5. So it's 5 times x, negative 5 times x plus 1. And here, everything cancels, so that's just 1 times 7 is 7. Okay, so I take that 5 and do the distributive property, being careful to remember there's a negative on it. So now we have 9x minus 5x minus 5 is equal to 7. Now, it's right back to week 2 here, solving multi-step equations. So first, combine like terms. We have 4x minus 5 is equal to 7. And then isolate the variable. by adding 5x to both sides, and then divide by the number in front. So we have 1x equals 3. So x is equal to 3 is the answer. Now we should double check and make sure if it's not -1, because that would give me 0 on the bottom, and it's not 0, because that would give me 0 on the bottom. And 3 is neither one of those, so good to go with x equals 3. All right, number 24 on page 4 of the review is going to be, a word problem. Okay, so some actuaries must have calculated an equation that looks like this. 58,000 plus 300x all over x. And so what we're going to do is we're going to sub in the value 400. So let's put 400. But we're not going to put it in for x. X is the units produced. C of x is the cost. So they actually want us to put the 400 in for C of x, not x. Now, it ends up to be a pretty easy problem. We're going to cross, multiply, and solve. So it's a linear equation. So we got 400x is equal to 58,000 plus 300x. And now we want to get all the x's over to one side, so let's isolate the variable. So minus 300x, minus 300x, and we got 100x is equal to 58,000. Well, we don't want 100x is equal to 58,000. We want just x equals, so we're going to divide both sides by 100. And then x is going to equal 580. So 580 units is the answer for that problem. That means if you manufacture 580 units, it will end up costing per unit $400. And that was the question asked. All right. So then we're on to number 25. So number 25, Sidney can mow the lawn in 4 hours. Your son can do it in 12. They are working together. How long will it take them? So we want to combine these two different rates to do the same job. So Sidney's going to do 1/4 of it. Her son is going to do 1/12 of it. They're working together, so we're adding it. And then 1 over x. So 4 and 12 and x. LCD for those is 12x. I'm going to multiply this by 12x. I'm going to multiply this by 12x. I'm going to multiply this by 12x. Now, because it's an equation, an equals to sign, I get to do that, just as long as I do the same thing to every term. So very similar to the one 2 problems ago, just like number 23 there. So what's going to happen, because we found the one thing that all of these go into, the denominators are going to cancel. So that cancels into that. There's 3x. So we got 3x left there. The 12s cancel. So we have plus 1x there. And the x's cancel. So that's equal to 12. And so now, easy peasy, combine like terms. 4x is equal to 12. And divide out the 4, x is equal to 3 hours. Now, that does make sense. It should be a number less than what Sidney could do the whole job in 4 hours by herself. So if her son is helping, it should have been a number less than 4, and it was. So 3 hours is the answer for number 25. Let's look at number 26 and finish this review up. So 26. Looks like this. 2 divided by the difference of a number and 1. 2 divided by the difference. 2 divided by the difference of a number and 1. Difference of a number and 1 is x minus 1. Equals quotient. Quotient means divide. 12 divided by the sum of the number and 2. So the same number, so I'm going to use x again, but the sum is plus 2. And again, this is just going to be a linear equation. We're going to cross multiply and solve. So we end up with 12 times x minus 1 equals 2 times x plus 2. And then we do the distributive property. 12x minus 12 equals 2x plus 4. And then get all the variables to one side. So we'll subtract 2x from both sides. 10x minus 12 is equal to 4. Isolate the variable, add the 12 to both sides, get 10x equal to 16, divide by 10, divide by 10, x is equal to 16 tenths, but, oh no, we got to reduce that. Divide by 2, x is equal to 8 fifths. And that finishes off page 4 of the review.